Northern Lights, or tomorrow you are. So this should be super fun. You guys are going to need the large brush like this. You're going to need your round brush, and you might need a smaller square brush. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of resist. So you guys are going to do a line of trees, and there's two different ones that we'll probably make, but we'll start with the one that I think is a little bit easier, and that's the crayon resist. So you guys will use a couple different colors of crayons. You'll notice that I used blue and black crayon for the trees. We never want to use black watercolor, really. Now this is black crayon, so I'm just making my trees by making some lines, and I want to give them a little bit of personality. You guys have probably seen trees. The one that has a lot of personality in this one is this little guy, because he kind of like goes over to the side. So try not to make all your trees the same, and you can just make them kind of sketchy. And you want to make a nice little tree horizon line. You can also try adding more color once you have all your water on. So I'm just going to keep doing my trees. I want them different heights, right? And maybe different directions. So be creative with your trees. Have you guys ever seen those pine trees that have like the weird little like things on the top? Could try some of those. Like the branches stick out funny directions on the top, or they're kind of scraggly, I guess would be the word. Yeah. Sometimes I look out the window of my house and I see just like some really funny looking trees, but I kind of like them because it makes them, you know, there's some pictures that people draw where everything looks perfect, and that's not really how nature is. So, well, I guess it is perfect in its own respect, but it's not exact. You know, sometimes things bend because of the wind, or they get knocked off because of a storm, and then they're not symmetrical anymore. Sometimes one tree pushes another one over. Then up in the top of my sky, I'm going to do some more resist, and I'm just going to make some little dots. And hopefully these will kind of look like stars. So I'm putting dots, and I'm going to try this silver crayon just because I'm curious. So I'm going to put some silver dots too, and I think I'm going to actually put some silver in the trees, so maybe they'll end up looking snow-coated. I don't know. So the next thing I'm going to do is a wet in wet. So I want to use a lot of water for this part. I'm really going to get this paper wet, but first I'm actually going to test this on a scratch piece of paper to make sure that someone did not leave a bunch of black paint on this brush, because there is nothing worse than going to do your watercolor paint and then putting a huge swatch of black across the sky. So I'm going to get my water, and I'm just going to coat this whole thing with lots of water, okay? And I want to do it quickly because the water is going to come off of this quickly too. Okay, it's going to evaporate. So I want to keep that water all over there. And actually, when I did this on these papers, I did the front and then I flipped it over and I put water on the back. Now I'm going to get my brush and I'm going to decide I'm going to do my lightest color first for the Northern Lights. And I'm going to think about the pattern. So I'm going to do some yellow in the sky first. And you can there's lots of different patterns the Northern Lights go in, but for this one, I'm just going to do kind of a swirling pattern through the sky like this. And then my next color I think I want to add is a little bit of green, and I want to mix it with some of the yellows so it turns into kind of like a yellow green. So I'm going to put a little bit of, and I could actually do this too by adding blue in there, but you can see how that paint just, yeah, it spreads a lot when you have the wet and wet, and the projector doesn't show it very well. So I'm trying to think about what color could come after and I think maybe some violet would look really nice in the blue, just to add a little bit of darker. So see how I'm working light to dark, but I want to add keep those light areas in there, and I don't want them to disappear. So I don't want to get too heavy with my paints, but I want to keep them moving. Okay. Then, once I kind of am happy, I want to add some more, I think, to the corner. And you can see how this is just really wet paper, and that's okay. I think I'm actually going to wipe my brush off and put a little more yellow in my yellow areas too, so I want to get all the dark color off, because I feel like they might need just a little more hue there. Then while it's still nice and wet, I'm going to lightly... I think I want to get some yellow down in between the trees here, because I think it would kind of show between them. While it's still wet, I think I'm going to take, thank you, a little bit of salt maybe, and just put a few sprinkles of salt in there, and I think I might have gotten a little carried away with that. Okay, and on this one I think I'll do salt, and on the second one I think I'm going to try the rubbing alcohol. But I don't want to, remember how I said you don't want to overdo anything? So I'm just going to let that one set, and we'll kind of see how that